Well, I think you know what we're going to talk about. There was obviously some pretty big news that has happened. Liver King is not natty. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable.
I mean, never imagined.
With those muscles, I just thought it was because he ate raw meat.
I'm just going to pretend I know what you're talking about.
Oh, Shelley, there's a whole other underbelly of the internet you should expose yourself to.
No, I don't.
A very strong, ripped underbelly.
Oh,
that's right.
I'm incredibly tired.
This podcast is brought to you by Ancestral Supplements. Get your desiccated liver.
Let's talk about the real thing.
Yes. Okay, Primals. Let's talk about the real thing. I guess let's start with the death of Jiang Zemin. This was 96 years in the making.
For a while, it felt like he was just never going to die.
He was blessed with a long life, really. Even though clearly he was in bad health for quite a bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, there had been rumors swirling that Jiang was dying since maybe August of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there have been rumors for like 15 years.
Well,
on
that's
and off.
but that's the thing. Back in 2011, the some Hong Kong media kind of jumped the gun and started reporting that Jiang was dead, and it led to this whole thing where a lot of overseas Chinese media picked it up, and then it started to be reported as he's actually dead, and then he was not dead.
Yeah, he met with the CEO of Starbucks a week after that.
That was the proof of life.
Body double. I just find it really ironic that he died of multiple organ failure. And leukemia.
Well, I mean, they couldn't find enough organs, you mean?
Yeah, or all the organs they've pumped him up with just failed, ultimately.
I mean, when you're 96.
Doesn't matter how many fresh Falun Gong organs you cram inside of you. Reminds me of an Invader Zim episode.
I don't even know what that is.
Shelley, you're missing all of my references today.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Jiang actually, in mid-November, there started to be even more rumors that he was dying or dead because there were kind of leaked instructions to internet providers like Baidu about how to turn websites into grayscale for mourning purposes. So there was a lot of speculation around then that maybe somebody big was going to die or was dying or had died and they were covering it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the grayscale thing. I can't imagine I couldn't believe the kind of reaction people have been having to Jiang Zemin's death. I mean, you were saying that even a Burger King kiosk went grayscale.
Yeah, someone posted a photo on Twitter of a Burger King ordering kiosks, the digital ones in China, and they were all grayscale because of the mourning period. But
that makes it just look more accurate to the actual burgers.
Those char-grilled burgers are full of flavor, Matt. This episode is sponsored by Burger King and Ancestral Supplements.
Stop. I don't know why that's so funny.
I don't know I think you're exhausted.
We're all it's been a long couple weeks.
Yeah.
But
it's been a long 10 years. Go on.
Yeah, but the mourning period, there are official rules from the CCP, things like no entertainment programs are allowed to be broadcast. All the websites have to be in grayscale except for anything having to do with Xi Jinping or the 20th Party Congress. A little caveat there. There are a bunch of rules that, websites and broadcasters have to follow.
That's so strange to me. No entertainment programs. I mean, I think if anything, Jiang Zemin would want us to laugh.
Or all sing, I don't know, what was he famous for singing? Love Me Tender.
I know he cha-cha'd to Love Me Tender.
While singing Love Me Tender.
Oh, he did?
Yes. I'm
quite
sure
a character.
The Filipino president probably had nightmares about that afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about Jiang. He was kind of like a walking meme. Like a clown show in many ways. I've seen people posting the so young, so naive.
Oh, the time he yelled at, this was
Hong Kong reporters, right?
Yeah, he was in Hong Kong speaking to reporters, and I don't remember what the question the reporter asked him is, but there was a tirade.
Yeah.
And some in Chinese, some in English. And it became so I think we actually reposted it a few years ago, and that video has 4.3 million views.
Yeah, it does, and it's no commentary. It's just the footage of him.
Just going off on these Hong Kong reporters. Like this too simple, so naive, or so simple, too I forget what, but like that was in English. So it that became a meme.
Yeah, but it's like it was like an awful thing he did that's now become a thing that people are like, oh, but he had so much personality.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was kind of appalled that I saw on Twitter a lot of China watchers who really, I thought, should know better, like posting things about like, oh, who knew that we would look back on this as the good old days, you know, where the leader of China seemed like a human being, like, I guess contrasting him to Xi Jinping, or talking about how much they loved like all the weird stuff Jiang did.
So, like, when Kanye West talks about Hitler, he's schizophrenic, okay? When these people talk about praising Jiang Zemin, what's their excuse?
Well, I think I have to say one of the things that Jiang was really good at is elite capture.
Yeah.
Like, he knew people love a show, right? So people kind of knew that people enjoyed, and I think he just had that kind of personality too.
And he knew English.
Yes, he had like party tricks, like he could recite the Gettysburg Address, which I think he did to Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes. Oh, that was another thing that, like, because he took an interview from 60 Minutes, that was seen as like, oh, he was so open and he was willing to talk about, like, he talked about like, I think this was 2000 or something like that, or 2001. So Mike Wallace asked him about, you know, why they were persecuting Falun Gong. And the fact that he was willing to answer a question was seen as, oh, amazing. But like, he answered the question by calling Falun Gong a cult. And basically, Mike Wallace was like, but, you know, you persecute people who practice religions like Falun Gong and Christians and stuff like that. And Jiang was like, no, Christians are totally different. And then Mike Wallace was like, you don't persecute Christians? And Jiang was like, no, we do not persecute Christians. And then he was like, but of course, Christians have to follow the law. So if any Christians break the law. So he was just lying the whole time. But that's seen as somehow like, oh, a proof of China's openness.
Yeah.
That he's openly lying?
That he's openly
lying.
Yeah. So speaking of elite capture, you know, like one of the people I think that was well captured by Jiang Zemin and more broadly by the Chinese Communist Party was U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein, who just posted something on her website on November 30th, like basically mourning his death, calling him, his quote, he showed himself to be an intelligent and joyful man.
There is that photo of Jiang singing karaoke with Dianne Feinstein and Willie Brown, who was the mayor of San Francisco at the time.
Yeah, well, because Feinstein and Jiang Zemin also, like, they had a relationship before he was president, because San Francisco and Shanghai were sister cities, and they used to do that sister city relationship.
And Feinstein and her husband made a lot of money in China.
Oh, yeah. Richard Blum, I believe, or Bloom. He's like a billionaire. A lot of that through China. It's like kind of terrifying when you dig into like U.S. officials' relationship with China and how they gain financially from it. Like it's pretty dark.
The scope of the CCP's infiltration into the U.S. is staggering. It's kind of hard to just summarize in a few words.
Right. And a big part of that was getting China into the World Trade Organization, which Jiang Zemin spearheaded because he was the leader at the time.
And it's so strange. It's being talked about like, oh, what a good thing that was. And like that was awful for the whole world.
I mean, just because the Chinese Communist Party has broken, you know, dozens of World Trade Organization rules.
It manipulated its economy to drive out American businesses.
They put subsidies when they're not allowed to have subsidies. They have restrictions on U.S. goods when they're not allowed to do that. But here's the thing, and I think Jiang Zemin realized this, that the World Trade Organization has certain requirements for getting in, but there's no provision in the World Trade Organization for kicking out a member state. So basically, Jiang must have realized, like, once I'm in, there's no way they can kick me out legally. And if they do, we can sue them and use like lawfare, essentially, which is like legal warfare, to stop them from imposing consequences. And that's been incredibly successful, that strategy.